For generations, residents here in Keeseville, New York, found to get from one side of their village to the other meant taking one of these 5 bridges spanning the AuSable River. But the years and the raging waters of the river have taken their toll, weakening the stone and steel and leaving these bridges unsafe to cross. Our Derek Muirden tells us this week about a small, dedicated group of Keeseville residents, though, who want their historic bridges repaired and reopened.
In the early years of her development, Keeseville was known as a hard-working Adirondack village, mostly due to the fact that there was a roaring river running right through the middle of it, which meant plenty of water power, and the fact that people looking for work, hard work and plenty of it, need look no further than Keeseville. The workers settled on both broad-shouldered banks of the river. And for many, to get from home to work and back again, it meant crossing the river on several iron bridges.
Think of Keeseville as a thoroughly wide-awake industrial village, as Seneca Ray Stoddard called it. Industries on both sides of the river, residences on both sides of the river, churches, stores, and so on. And divided as it was by the AuSable River, bridges were a big part of connecting the community together, and so no surprise, there are 3 historic bridges in Keeseville. This one, which is 1878, a pedestrian suspension bridge, 1888, and the Stone Arch Bridge, 1843. And these bridges are one of the things that make Keeseville really distinct.
But today, the iron bridges, once a signature of a hard-working village, are rusting away, and one by one, failing safety inspections, which means closure to any kind of traffic. And the lack of state and county funds makes it almost certain that the historic iron bridges of Keeseville could be removed, not restored. But it doesn't have to be that way. Not according to a local fellow, anyway. His name is Matt Prey, born and raised right here in Keeseville, and he is spending every waking hour trying to educate the locals on the perils of the bridges of Keeseville.
When you come into the village of Keeseville, you see the sign that says Home of the 3 Historic Bridges. There are 3 very historic bridges that are each one of a kind as far as their construction. They were experimental bridges at the time, dating back to the 1800s, and the companies that made them no longer exist. So these bridges, they are in need of some renovation, and once that's done, they will bring Keeseville back to what it used to be.
They're symbolic of what needs to be done.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of TLC that needs to happen in Keeseville, and the bridges are a big part of it. There are groups in Keeseville like the Development Corporation that want to bring in pedestrian routes and bike routes, and these bridges could be a part of that.
While there are actually 5 bridges spanning the AuSable in the immediate Keeseville area, Matt is focusing his efforts on what are called the iron bridges, and which, according to Matt, need the most immediate attention. They are the upper bridge, a 1-lane bridge which is closed now to all traffic. Downstream is the swing bridge, a pedestrian crossing that gets a lot of foot traffic. Then there's the Old State Road Bridge, crossing the AuSable Chasm, which has been closed for some time. What needs to be done to open a bridge that's closed?
The biggest thing that needs to be done is we need to get both Clinton and Essex County involved. So we need to change the dialogue from we can't do it to let's figure out how to do it, how to come up with the funding, and then to get a historical restoration company that I've been in touch with to come in and do those restorations that can make these bridges basically brand new again.
Keeseville has another 2 vehicular bridges that cross the AuSable River here, and so some have made the argument that this is redundant and not really needed. But I think there's also a lot of evidence and a lot of support for the rehabilitation of this bridge to put it back into use because it's a wonderful way to connect a different part of the village together. It makes circulating through the village a lot easier, and it's a wonderful vantage point to see the beautiful Ausable River that flows underneath it.
For people that are here on Mountain Lake Journal, I'm Derek Muirden in Keeseville.
People Near Here is brought to you by Northline Utilities.